Sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and could even keep you from the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Welcome to the No BS Sales School podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. Today, I want to talk about, it's a subject that I like to talk about this time of year, and it's, what are you hunting? What are you hunting in your sales? So there's this funny little story that some of y'all have heard. It's called Squirrels, Deer, and Elephants. I'm going to tell it again. Maybe you've heard it once or twice. If you have, listen again with a new mind and see, with a beginner's brain, and see if you pick up something different this time. A man lives way out in the woods. He's got to feed his family. He says, there are a lot of squirrels in the woods. And so he gets up in the morning and he walks all day and he shoots 5 or 6 squirrels and he comes back and he skins them and he cleans them and he cooks them and he feeds his family one meal. Gets up the next day, walks all day, shoots 5 or 6 squirrels, comes back, skins them, cleans them, cooks them, feeds his family one meal. Day 3, 4, 5 go by and he says, man, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this anymore. Too hard. My feet hurt. Having to go further and further to kill squirrels. Nobody's getting full. This sucks. So he says, I'm going to go kill an elephant because I can kill one of those and feed the family for 2 years. So he gets up the next day and he gathers all the stuff necessary to kill an elephant. And he throws it over his shoulder and he walks out the door and he's gone. And his son sees him going and says, oh God, there goes dad again. There are no elephants nearby. He's as likely to get killed by one as kill one himself. How the hell will he drag it back? And I mean, who knows if we even like elephant meat or we know how to cook it. So the son says, you know what? There are a lot of deer in the woods too. So he grabs his rifle, climbs a tree, gets lucky the first day, shoots a deer, drags it back, skins it, cleans it, able to feed the family for 2 weeks. Goes out again 10 days later, shoots another deer. Now, y'all already know where this story's going. Once you think about your prospects as squirrels, deer, elephants, nothing wrong with any of them. Squirrels are the tiny ones. They're probably calling you. They need your help. Maybe they're ones you started with years ago and you're loyal to them because they've been loyal to you, but they're very service intensive and maybe you make big margins, but it's no money, right? 100% margin on $10 is no freaking money, right? In the scope of a bigger business. Elephants, on their hand, are the giant ones. Takes you a long time to close them. You chase them forever. Maybe you brag with your buddies or brag at the office. Hey, I got a big old elephant. We've got whatever ABC company, whomever, they're our person. They're ours now. This is so great. You stole them from a competitor. It took you a long time to get there. You had to make a lot of promises to get the business. Had to give up some things, but you've got this huge revenue account now. But it demands a lot of service too. You may have to add more people to take care of it. And it's a full-time thing to service this elephant, but the revenue's coming in. It's good. First thing that happens in an elephant is that there's something we call scope creep, where they say, hey, we're paying you all this money, doing all this stuff. Will you do this extra thing for us too at no extra charge? At which we say, oh yeah, that's great. I'm sure we'd be happy to do that because you're working on the relationship, right? Want to do what the relationship is. And so you keep going and going and going and going. You're busy, busy, busy. But the next phone call, the next iteration, the next series of things that happens is you get a phone call and they say, hey, we really love what you're doing. We love this relationship, how you're killing yourself night and day to keep giving us what we need or what we want. But your competitors are coming to us and you're charging us $1 and they say they can do it for 72 cents. I mean, times are tight around here. We're really getting some pressure from the boss, from the board. Can you help us out? Can you work on that number? Can you give us a discount so that we can keep this wonderful relationship that we love so much? And maybe it's not a 28% discount. Maybe it's less than that. But they can ask you to cut your margin. And then you got a business decision to make. Do I tell them no and risk losing them? Or do I say, sure, and keep going? But now all the margin, most of the margin's gone from your deal. And all the extra things that you could do to service and make sure you take care of them, I mean, all of a sudden that's costing you money. So almost by definition, your service goes down and you're running like hell to try and keep that beast fed. But ultimately what they do is they fire you. They say, your service sucks. Y'all just can't handle this. And they fire you. So now you've been working so hard to keep that elephant alive and moving or whatever, or dead or whatever the hell the analogy goes. you hadn't had time to prospect. And so oftentimes in a smaller business, this can kill you because you haven't had time to prospect. You don't have a pipeline. All of a sudden, your revenue goes from X to a half a X. You should consider anybody that's 25% of your revenue or more an elephant, because one of those guys goes away and it can cause a major hole. Ones in the middle are deer. And here's the definition of a deer. There need to be lots of them out there, hundreds, if not thousands of them in your marketplace, right? This can't, if you only have 3 that are like this in your marketplace, it's not a deer. But hundreds, multiple hundreds, if not 1,000 or more in your marketplace. They're right in your sweet spot. You know exactly how to handle them. They need what you have. You don't have to do anything special for most of them. I want you to think about who is that dear prospect for you or dear client. Look in your client list now. How many do you currently have? And now say to yourself, gosh, if I had X number more, we'd have a hell of a business. So, and everybody's business is different deer examples. However, if you had somewhere between, call it 12 and 50 deer, you'd have a really, really nice business. Now, here's the thing. That's where I want you to spend your marketing dollars and your prospecting time, is focused on your dear prospects. Now, I hope 5 years from now that what looks like an elephant to you now is a deer to you. I hope your accounts will continue to grow. You can call on more and more. If you have an elephant in your system now, good. Don't fire them. Just know them for what they are. And your job is to dilute the amount of influence that elephant can have on your business. Bring in more deer clients so that the elephant's revenue shrinks as a percentage, so you're not hurt when they leave. Now, here's what we know. 15%, rule of thumb is 15% of your customers, and maybe it's 15% of your revenue, of your existing revenue, is going to go away every year. It's going to disappear. The company's going to get bought. They're going to get picked off by somebody else. You're going to screw something up. Maybe they've changed technology. They're not going to use you anymore. But you can count on about 15% of them going away every year. So if that's the case, focus on deer. There are lots of them out there. They're easy to close. You've got good third-party stories. People will also refer you to people like themselves or smaller. Here's the exception. Elephants don't refer. If a deer client for you pays you $100,000 a year and they're this type business, typically they can refer you to other people like themselves who'd pay you somewhere $100,000, maybe a little less. If you realize you have a book full of squirrels, the majority of your business is squirrels, and you are working like hell and you're saying, oh my God, there's just not enough time in the day. That means you have too many squirrels, because squirrels will beget more squirrels, right? It'll just cause this whole thing and you'll be working your ass off. So here's what you do if you recognize you have a book full of squirrels. And this may sound like a jerk thing to do, but it's to save your business. Raise your rates on the squirrels. Double it, triple it, whatever that is. Say, I'm sorry, we can't keep doing it this way. A nice way to say it is, listen, I'm not sure it makes sense for you to spend the kind of money you'd need to spend to stay here to be a client. Let me help you and refer you to somebody else. All right, here's what will happen. Maybe half your book of business will go away. The other half of your squirrels go away. The other half will stick around and pay the higher rate, and they may continue to grow. Now, the lie you may tell yourself is, I don't want to fire any squirrels because they grow into deer and elephants. Okay, that happens sometimes, but and maybe you've got that one that did, but the vast majority of them, they'll work with you when they're squirrels, and then all of a sudden they get a little bit bigger, they get more visibility in the marketplace, and somebody else is going to come pick them off, and they're going to get them when they're deer size. So don't kid yourself that, oh, I'm going to take care of all these little squirrels that are not profitable now because they'll hang around, I'll make a whole lot more money. Maybe, but chances are they're going to move on because they're going to say, gosh, well, they really work with squirrels. I'd rather work with the next bright, shiny object that calls on me now that I have reached other people's radar. Who are you hunting? Who are you going after? It's very important about how you build your business. This is what makes you safe during recessions. This is the thing that this consistent revenue, consistent targeting of the right people, the right businesses is what will make you very wealthy. By just taking them as they come, getting the low-hanging fruit, whoever calls, you're leaving it up to chance. Business is too hard to leave it up to chance. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales School. Share this podcast with somebody that needs to hear it. Thanks. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you're struggling to close deals, then I want to invite you to take my free mini course, where you'll learn the 7 most expensive sales mistakes that will cost you time, money, and credibility. So be sure to click the link in the show notes or go to www.7salesmistakes.com. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.